Good afternoon, British Covidians. I'm squinting to read something at the moment. See if I can try it without the glasses. Oh, it's not really improving. It's on the back of my blood test meter, this AccuCheck thing. No, it's not improving without the glasses. Let's try it with the glasses, shall we? Any better? No, still no better. Got squinty vision this morning. Problem with my eyesight. I know there is only one way to deal with this, to see if my eyesight would be okay, and that is to go for a drive. That's how you check your eyesight. Pick up the car keys, go for a drive, slam your kid in the back, put your wife in the front, and go to Barnum Castle, whatever, and that way you will know if you are safe to drive and you have safe eyesight. You know, that's kind of funny as well, because the test to see that you were a basically safe driver, actually my recollection of when I was an instructor as well, is that test wasn't carried out while you were driving. You didn't get in the car, speak to the examiner, do all the checks, and the examiner took you straight out of the driving test centre car park, and he tested your eyesight on the way. Yeah? No, that test was carried out before you even got into the car, at a distance of 75 feet in good daylight, wearing glasses if you had to. You had to prove you could read a vehicle number plate in good daylight. If you couldn't, well, if necessary, a tape measure would be bought. But if you still couldn't read it, the test would be cancelled. You wouldn't even drive the car, and you'd forfeit your fee. But apparently, for dear old Mr. Cummings, let's give him a different name today. Let's not call him Cummings. Let's call him Demonic Dominic. For dear old Demonic Dominic, with the hard man hair all shaved off, he does look like a bit of a hard man, doesn't he? Yeah? A bit of a hard man. But for Demonic Dominic, it's different. You don't just go and step out that distance away to a number plate on another car and see if you can read it. You don't even call an optician. What you do to check if your eyesight is okay for driving, you don't even just drive around the block. You drive a total round trip of something like 60 miles. With your kid in the back as well. And your wife in the front. So, kind of, is that what you would do to check if your eyesight was safe to drive? Wouldn't you like to confirm it before you actually started driving? And if your eyesight was uncorrected, it is an offence to drive with uncorrected vision. So, do you think maybe the police might like to speak to him about that? Do you not think they might? But anyway, look. Now, everyone has taken it, yeah? That if they want to go out for a drive, even down to the beach where they're packed in like sardines, forget social distancing on the beach, pack them in like sardines. All they've got to do is put up the big sign, and it said, it was okay for Dominic Cummings, so it's okay for us. In fact, if you are taking your family anywhere and all the toilets are closed and your kid needs to have a pee, I'm taking it was a pee, just whip them into the woods. Maybe don't just let their mum go out there with them, but get out your car and go into the woods yourself. Yeah, it's all right. It was all socially distanced. It was miles from anywhere. It was all socially distanced. So, what are we really complaining about here? Well, what we're complaining about here is, yes, one rule for the rich and powerful, one rule for the elite, one rule for the movers and shakers, the eugenicist of Bozo's government, One rule for Cummings, the organ grinder, not Boris. Boris is the monkey, as we know. Cummings is the organ grinder. So one rule for this organ grinder advisor, and another one for everybody else. One rule that says if you're lucky enough to have a private patch of land, you can drive all that distance to it, apparently believing you still have COVID, with your wife and your kids in the car, driving and potentially putting everybody else on the road and putting your wife and kid at risk as well, because if you were seriously infected with that lot, it seems to say you can barely even move. You can't get out of bed. Your eyesight genuinely blurs. You have a splitting headache that is amazing. You ever tried driving with a headache? It doesn't half distract you from the task of driving. But if you're Dominic Cummings, you want to protect everybody. You can't afford to have anyone look after the kiddywinkle. You can't afford to hire a nanny or anything like that. And obviously Dominic Cummings must be so unpopular with his neighbours, even beforehand. Yeah, I mean, all those death threats and whatever being made, he must be so unpopular. All those neighbours shouting out of their windows against him, saying, I didn't even get to leave this house to actually attend my father or my mother or my cousin or my brother or my sister or whatever dying in ICU. I couldn't even do that. But somehow it's okay that you drove 260 miles to Durham. Because clearly if you're going to a place where you can self-isolate, yeah, and it's 260 miles away, that's fine, isn't it? Yeah, because you're the one. You're the smart one, aren't you? You're the smart one interpreting the rules. Do you remember Jacob Rees-Mogg and the people who died in the Grenfell fire? And Jacob going, well, look, surely, no matter the fact that the fire brigade and the police told them to shelter in place, stay in their flats. Yeah, that was the advice. Yeah. But do you remember when Jacob Rees-Mogg said, now an intelligent person, a smart person, somebody like him, they would have just ignored that advice, made the decision to leave themselves because they were smart, they were educated, they were important, they were rich, and they would have made a decision to disobey the advice. Essentially, that's what Cummings is saying. Yeah. The best part in the whole of that interview was that although he was, if you like, looking for a loophole in the regulations, yeah, what he really did was he totally defied the spirit of that rule, those guidelines or whatever. He defied the spirit of it. I think a journalist said he drove a coach and horses through the spirit of it. Yeah. Bloody disgusting. Yeah. And what is just, it's inevitable that Boris still backs him. Of course he does. Various reasons for this. My main one is I don't think Boris could govern without him. Yeah. My second one is I don't think Boris dares sack him because he's probably got loads of nasty stuff on Boris. Loads and loads of nasty stuff that will all just come out. Yeah. So I don't think Boris dares to sack him. Yeah. More than anything, that has disgusted people who have genuinely been obeying the lockdown. Yeah. People you know, imagine he has that patch of ground with some isolated house on. He could even go into a wood that was a private wood. When you've been isolating with your kids on the 40th floor of a tower block and the play areas are closed, when you've had to stay in those rooms, behind those windows, behind that door, with your kids screaming the place down, yeah, maybe in some cases ill, maybe you were ill too, and you still had to look after your kids, even though you were sick and practically dying with COVID-19, yeah, and this idiot can do that, yeah. Frankly, again, this is indicative of what your government think about you. They think you're stupid. They believe you're stupid. And it's indicative, really, of the fact that they don't think you're really worth anything. Your life to your government has nothing other than economic value. If you're old, well, tough luck. Care homes get hit first. Yeah, care homes, big death toll, but really great for the government because old people don't contribute, do they? All they do is take. Disabled people, again, let the COVID cart them off, mate. They don't contribute. They just take. Unemployed people, homeless people. Notice that the homeless back on the street, quietly kicked out, quietly back on the street again. Life's going back to normal, isn't it? It's all going back to normal. And you just look at all those wonderful people going to all those beaches and everything today, when at least one A&E department in the hospital has had to close because increased COVID emissions. You just wait for that second wave. I think the second wave will hit, well, get the kids back to school next week on Monday. Couple of weeks maybe even less. Yeah. And don't forget, you're still being lied to about the overall death toll. Well, that's me done for today. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, stay locked down, don't believe any of the Tory lies, yeah? And if you do have a problem with your eyesight, I suggest you get that checked out by an optician before you drive your car. Bye.